The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. 7 ancient races sat at the great table of power, making decisions that affected billions of lives across thousands of worlds. They called themselves the Elder Races, and they believed they were the most advanced beings in the universe. The Vellani, with their 4 arms and brilliant minds. The Toruk, with their scales and warrior traditions. The Sindari, with their cold logic and perfect memory. And 4 others, each proud of their place among the stars. 300 years ago, a Vellani survey ship had visited a small blue planet on the edge of explored space. The planet was called Earth by its people. The survey team had landed, scanned the primitive cities, watched the humans fighting their little wars with chemical weapons and simple machines, and had laughed among themselves. They spent exactly 15 minutes on the surface before leaving. The report was simple. Class 7 species. No threat, no value. Do not contact. And then the galaxy forgot about Earth. Captain Park Tae-ho stood on the bridge of his ship, the horizon's edge. On paper, it was a scientific research vessel studying asteroid compositions in unclaimed space. In truth, it was a spy ship, one of hundreds that Earth had scattered across the galaxy like invisible eyes. Tae-ho was 43 years old, born on a space station hidden behind Jupiter's largest moon. He had never set foot on Earth, but he had sworn to protect it with his life. His crew of 12 worked silently at their stations, monitoring transmissions from across the sector. They had been watching the growing tension between the Galactic Council and the Keth Dominion for months. The Keth were newcomers to this part of space, a brutal empire that had swept through the Outer Rim, conquering and destroying everything in their path. "Captain," said Ensign Bae Somi, looking up from her console with worry in her eyes. "The Keth have crossed the border. They have declared war on the Council." Tae-ho walked over to her station and studied the data streaming across her screen. His stomach tightened. The numbers were worse than anyone had predicted. "How many ships?" he asked quietly. 40,000 warships, sir. Maybe more. They are moving fast." Tae-ho closed his eyes for a moment. The Galactic Council had perhaps 15,000 combat vessels spread across their territory. They were not prepared for this. They had grown soft in their 12,000 years of peace, believing that no one would dare challenge them. "Open a secure channel to Earth Command," Tae-ho ordered. "Priority Alpha." Deep beneath the mountains of the Korean Peninsula, Admiral Kang Yuna sat in a room that did not officially exist. The walls were lined with screens showing data from every corner of the galaxy. She was 61 years old, with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too much. She had dedicated her entire life to preparing for a moment that she hoped would never come. When Tae-ho's face appeared on her screen, she knew immediately that the moment had arrived. "Admiral," Tae-ho said, his voice tight with controlled fear. "The Keth have 40,000 ships. The Council cannot stop them. At their current speed, they will reach Council core worlds within 2 months." Yuna nodded slowly, her face revealing nothing. "And after they finish with the Council," she asked, "they will keep expanding. They will find us eventually. Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 50, but they will come." Yuna turned to look at another screen, one that showed a map of human territory. Officially, humanity controlled only their home solar system, a tiny dot in the vast darkness of space. But the truth was very different. "Thank you, Captain," she said. "Continue monitoring. Report any changes immediately." After the transmission ended, Yuna sat in silence for a long moment. Then she pressed a button on her desk. Lieutenant Choi Minji entered the room. She was young, only 28, but she was one of the brightest officers in the fleet. She had been Yuna's aide for 3 years, and knew more secrets than most admirals. "It is time," Yuna said simply. Minji's eyes widened. "The Deep Fleet?" "Yes. Send the activation signal to all hidden shipyards. Wake up every ship we have. I want the full fleet assembled at Rally Point Omega within 30 days. Minji hesitated. Admiral, once we reveal ourselves, there is no going back. The galaxy will know about us. I know. Yuna stood and walked to the largest screen, the one showing the positions of the Keth Armada. For 300 years, we have watched and learned. We have built in secret. We have trained in shadows. The elder races looked at us once and decided we were nothing. They never came back to check. She turned to face Minji, and there was something fierce in her old eyes. They made a mistake, and now, because of that mistake, we might be the only ones who can save them. Minji nodded and hurried out to send the signal. Across human space, in shipyards hidden inside asteroids and buried beneath the ice of frozen moons, lights began to flicker on. Engines that had been sleeping for decades roared to life. Crews who had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come reported to their stations. The Deep Fleet was waking up. On the horizon's edge, Captain Tejo received the coded message and felt a chill run down his spine. He had always known this day might come, but knowing something and living it were very different things. "Sir?" Ensign Bay asked, seeing the change in his expression. "What is it?" Tejo looked at his crew, these brave men and women who had spent years pretending to be scientists while gathering intelligence on an unsuspecting galaxy. "Our mission has changed," he said quietly. "We are no longer observers. We are going to war." No one cheered, no one smiled. They simply nodded and returned to their work with new determination in their eyes. They had been preparing for this their entire lives. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, the elder races argued and panicked about the coming Keth invasion. They had no idea that salvation was already on its way, coming from a small blue planet they had forgotten long ago. Humanity was coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Keth struck like a storm from the darkest nightmares. Their ships were massive and ugly, built only for destruction. They did not negotiate. They did not accept surrender. They simply killed everything in their path and moved on to the next target. Valaris Prime was one of the oldest worlds in the galaxy. The Vallani had lived there for 50,000 years, building great cities of crystal and light. 20 billion souls called it home. It was the heart of Vallani civilization, a symbol of everything the elder races had achieved. The Keth burned it in 3 days. Their dreadnoughts filled the sky like a plague of metal locusts. Plasma fire rained down on the beautiful cities, turning crystal towers into melted ruins. The Vallani defense fleet fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10-1. Ship after ship exploded in the darkness of space, while the planet below screamed. High Counselor Morath watched the destruction from the bridge of the mobile capital station, Unity's heart. He was old, even by Vallani standards, with pale blue skin and 4 arms that trembled as he gripped the railing. Tears ran down his face as he watched his homeworld die. "We must retreat," said war leader Gulthar of the Toruk, his reptilian voice harsh. "There is nothing more we can do here." Morath wanted to argue. He wanted to order every ship to fight to the last. But he knew Gulthar was right. If Unity's heart fell, the entire council government would be destroyed. The war would be over. "All ships fall back," Morath ordered, his voice breaking. "Set course for the Sindari sector." As Unity's heart jumped away, Morath looked back at the viewing screen one last time. Valaris Prime was covered in fire and smoke, its great oceans boiling from orbital bombardment. His people, his history, his entire world were dying, and he could do nothing to stop it. Commander Lee Junho watched from the shadows. His ship, the Silent Thunder, was one of the most advanced stealth vessels ever built. It could sit within weapons range of an enemy fleet and remain completely invisible. For 3 years, Junho had been following the Keth, studying their tactics, counting their ships, and sending reports back to Earth. He was 35 years old, tall and thin, with a calm face that hid a sharp mind. His crew of 40 trusted him completely. They had to. One mistake, one moment of detection, and they would all die. "The Keth are not stopping," reported his tactical officer. "They are reforming their fleet. It looks like they are preparing to advance again." Junho nodded. "They want to end this quickly. The faster they crush the council, the less time anyone has to organize resistance." "Sir, I am picking up communications from the council fleet. They are calling for reinforcements, but there are none coming. Every ship they had is either destroyed or retreating." Junho felt a heaviness in his chest. He had watched the Volani die. He had seen the fires consume their cities. Part of him wanted to break cover and attack, to do something, anything, to help. But his orders were clear. Observe. Do not engage. Not yet. "Open a secure channel to Admiral Kang," he said. "Priority Alpha." On Earth, Admiral Kang Yuna received the transmission in her underground command center. The images from Valaris Prime played on the screens around her, showing the full horror of what the Keth had done. 20 billion dead, she said quietly, in 3 days. Lieutenant Choi Minji stood beside her, face pale. "The Council fleet has lost 60% of its strength. They are retreating to Unity's heart, but the Keth will catch them within 72 hours. And then it will be over." Yuna turned away from the screens. "What is the status of the Deep Fleet?" "Assembly is complete, Admiral. 22,000 combat vessels are waiting at Rally Point Omega. All crews report ready for battle." Yuna closed her eyes for a moment. 22,000 ships. It had taken 3 centuries to build them. 300 years of secrecy, sacrifice, and patience. Entire generations had lived and died, working on ships they knew they might never see fly. And now, those ships were going to war. "Order the fleet to move," Yuna said, opening her eyes. "Maximum speed to the Valaris sector. We will intercept the Keth before they reach Unity's heart." Minji hesitated. "Admiral, once we engage, the entire galaxy will know about us. The Council, the Keth, everyone. We will no longer be hidden." "I know." Yuna walked to the main display and looked at the positions of the fleets. "But if we do nothing, the Keth will destroy the Council, and then they will keep going. They will not stop until they have conquered everything. Eventually, they will find us too." She turned to face Minji, her expression hard. "We have 2 choices. We can hide and wait for them to come to us, fighting alone when they finally arrive. Or we can reveal ourselves now, while there are still allies to stand with us. I choose to fight now." Minji nodded slowly. "I will give the order." As the Deep Fleet began to move, Commander Lee Junho received new orders aboard the Silent Thunder. He read them twice, to make sure he understood. "All observation vessels are to fall back," he announced to his crew. "The Deep Fleet is coming." His officers looked at each other in shock. They had all heard stories about the Deep Fleet, the secret navy that existed only in whispers, but none of them had ever seen it. "Sir," his helmsman asked, voice trembling with excitement, "is it really happening? Are we finally going to fight?" Junho looked at the destruction of Valaris Prime still burning on his screens. He thought about all the years of watching, waiting, and staying silent while others died. "Yes," he said, "it is time." In the depths of space, thousands of engines burned bright, as humanity's hidden fleet raced toward its destiny. The Keth did not know they were coming. The Council did not know they existed. But very soon, the entire galaxy would learn what happened when you forgot about Earth. Unity's heart drifted in the cold darkness of space, surrounded by the broken remains of the Council fleet. Less than 6,000 ships remained from what had once been the mightiest navy in the galaxy. Many were damaged. All were exhausted. The crews had not slept in days, running from battle to battle, watching their friends die in fire and silence. High Counselor Morath stood in the great chamber where the council had met for thousands of years. The seats were mostly empty now. Many representatives had fled to their homeworlds, hoping to organize defenses that everyone knew would fail. Those who remained looked at Morath with hollow eyes, waiting for him to say something that would give them hope. He had nothing to give. "The Keth Armada will arrive in approximately 18 hours, reported a Sindari officer, her voice flat and emotionless in the way of her kind. 28,000 warships. Our remaining forces cannot stop them. War leader Golthar slammed his fist on the table. Then we fight and die with honor. I will not run like a coward. What good is honor when we are all dead? Asked another counselor. Perhaps we should negotiate. Offer them territory, resources, anything to survive. The Keth do not negotiate, Morath said quietly. You have all seen what they did to my world. They will do the same to yours, to all of ours. Silence fell over the chamber. There was nothing left to say. Then the alarms started screaming. Sensor operators across the council fleet stared at their screens in confusion. Massive energy signatures were appearing at the edge of the system, unlike anything they had ever recorded. The readings made no sense. They were too large, too numerous, too impossible. What is happening? Morath demanded, rushing to a display terminal. Unknown contacts emerging from hyperspace, the Sindari officer reported, her voice no longer calm. Thousands of them. On the main screen, points of light began to appear. At first there were dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Ships poured out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their black hulls reflecting no light, their designs matching no known civilization. 8,000 vessels, the officer counted, 12,000, 15,000, and still counting. Golthar's scales had turned pale. Who are they? What species commands such a fleet? No one could answer. Admiral Kang Yuna stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Terra's Vengeance. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built. 2 kilometers of armor and weapons, designed with 3 centuries of stolen knowledge. Around her, the deep fleet spread out in formations that had been practiced in secret for generations. Captain Shin Hana stood at her side, monitoring the deployment. She was 40 years old, with short black hair, and the kind of steady nerves that made her perfect for this job. All divisions report battle ready, Admiral, Hana said. 22,000 vessels deployed and awaiting orders. Yuna looked at the tactical display, showing the positions of all 3 fleets, the Council's broken remnants, the Keth's massive armada, and now, humanity's deep fleet, positioned directly between them. Open a channel, Yuna ordered. All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Admiral. Yuna took a deep breath. For 300 years, humanity had hidden in the shadows, watching and waiting. With her next words, she would change the course of galactic history. This is Admiral Kang Yuna of the United Earth Defense Command, she announced, her voice calm and clear. To the Galactic Council, we advise you to withdraw your ships to a safe distance. This battle zone is about to become very dangerous. On Unity's heart, High Counselor Morath felt his 4 hearts stop beating for a moment. Earth, the primitive world, the Class 7 species they'd dismissed 3 centuries ago. How was this possible? Yuna continued. To the Keth Dominion, you are hereby ordered to halt your advance and withdraw from Council space. This is your only warning. There will not be another. The response from the Keth came quickly. Their supreme commander, a massive creature with gray skin and eyes full of contempt, appeared on every screen. Unknown vessels, he growled. You are outnumbered. We have 28,000 warships. You have barely 20,000. Surrender now, and we may grant you a quick death. Resist, and we will make your extinction slow and painful." Yuna smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "You speak of numbers," she said. "Let me explain something to you. For 300 years, we have watched this galaxy. We have studied every species. We have learned every tactic. We have analyzed every weapon. And we have built ships designed specifically to destroy everything you can throw at us." She leaned forward, her eyes cold. "Your plasma weapons will not penetrate our shields. Your ships cannot match our speed. Your sensors cannot track our movements. You have conquered races that grew soft and lazy over millennia of peace. We are not like them." The Keth's Supreme Commander laughed, a harsh and ugly sound. "Empty words from a dying species. All ships, attack formation, destroy them all." The Keth Armada began to move, 28,000 ships advancing like a wave of death. Yuna turned to Captain Hana. "Signal all ships, weapons free." "Admiral," Commander Lee Junho's voice came through from the silent thunder, which had joined the main fleet. "It has been an honor serving in the shadows. It will be a greater honor to finally fight." "The honor is mine, Commander." Yuna looked at the tactical display one last time. "All ships, this is Admiral Kang. Today we show the galaxy who we really are. Today, Earth stops hiding. For 300 years they forgot about us. After today, they will never forget again." She raised her hand. "All ships, engage." The deep fleet surged forward, and the largest battle in galactic history began. The Keth fired first. 10,000 plasma lances lit up the darkness of space, each one carrying enough energy to melt through a mountain. They had used these weapons to burn 100 worlds. No shield in the galaxy could withstand a concentrated barrage from Keth dreadnoughts. The plasma struck the human fleet, and nothing happened. Admiral Kang Yuna watched the energy readings on her display and allowed herself a small smile. 300 years of studying galactic weapons technology had paid off. Human scientists had developed shields specifically designed to absorb and redirect plasma energy. What should have been a devastating blow simply washed over the fleet like water over stone. "All ships," Yuna ordered, "return fire." The human fleet answered with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Railguns fired solid metal projectiles at a fraction of the speed of light. The Keth had never developed defenses against kinetic weapons, because no one in the galaxy used them anymore. They were considered primitive and outdated. That was a mistake. The first volley tore through Keth's shields like they were made of paper. Dreadnoughts that had survived 100 battles exploded in seconds. The Keth formation shattered as ships tried to scatter away from the deadly rain of metal. Captain Park Tae-ho commanded the destroyer Dawn's Fury from the center of the human formation. His ship was smaller than the massive Keth vessels, but it was faster and more maneuverable. He watched the enemy fleet break apart with grim satisfaction. "They are panicking," observed Lieutenant Choi Minji, now serving as his second-in-command. "Their formation is falling apart." "They have never faced an enemy like us," Tae-ho replied. "They conquered races that fought the same way they did. We fight differently." The human ships began executing maneuvers that should have been impossible. They blinked, in and out of short-range jumps, appearing behind enemy lines, firing devastating volleys, then vanishing before the Keth could respond. It was a tactic that human pilots had practiced for decades in simulators, waiting for the day they would use it in real combat. The Keth tried to adapt. Their supreme commander screamed orders, attempting to reform his fleet into a defensive formation. But every time they thought they had found a pattern in human movements, the humans changed tactics. "They are using Villani flanking maneuvers," the Keth commander realized. "No, wait, that is a toric charge formation, and now they have switched to Sindari precision targeting." He did not understand. How could one species know so many different fighting styles? The answer was simple. Humanity had watched everyone. They had studied every battle recorded in galactic history. They had taken the best tactics from every species and combined them into something new, something unpredictable, something that no enemy could anticipate. Commander Lee Junho led Wolfpack Squadron through the heart of the Keth Armada. His wing of 50 fighters moved as one, each pilot knowing exactly where the others would be at any moment. They had trained together for years, their movements practiced until they were automatic. "Break left on my mark," Junho ordered through the squadron channel. "Target the engine sections. Ready, mark." The fighters split apart like a blooming flower, each one picking a different target. Keth escort vessels exploded around them, unable to track the fast-moving human ships. A young pilot, barely 20 years old, whooped with excitement over the radio. "Did you see that? Their fighters cannot even touch us." "Stay focused," Junho replied sharply. "The battle is not over yet." But even as he said it, he knew they were winning. The Keth had expected easy prey. Instead, they had found a predator. On the bridge of the Terra's Vengeance, Admiral Yuna watched the battle unfold. The Keth had lost 5,000 ships in the first hour, then another 6,000 in the second hour. By the third hour, their supreme commander finally tried to do what he should have done at the beginning. He tried to run. "The Keth fleet is attempting to retreat," Captain Shin Hana reported. "They are charging their jump drives." Yuna had anticipated this. "Activate the interdiction field." Across the battlefield, specialized human ships generated a massive energy field that disrupted hyperspace travel. The Keth ships tried to jump and found themselves trapped, their drives spinning uselessly against an invisible barrier. "They cannot escape," Hana confirmed. "The field is holding." The Keth's supreme commander appeared on the communication channel, his gray face twisted with fury and fear. "What have you done? Let us go. We will leave. We will never return." Yuna looked at him coldly. "You burned Valaris Prime. 20 billion people died while you laughed. You showed no mercy then. Why should we show mercy now?" "Please," the commander begged, all pride gone from his voice. "We surrender. We will do anything you ask." For a long moment, Yuna said nothing. She thought about all the worlds the Keth had destroyed, all the innocent lives they had ended. They had built their empire on cruelty and murder, never expecting to face consequences for their actions. "All ships, cease fire," she finally ordered. The guns fell silent. The Keth fleet, what remained of it, drifted helplessly in space, surrounded by debris and death. "You will surrender unconditionally," Yuna told the Keth commander. "Your ships will power down their weapons. Your crews will prepare for boarding. Any resistance will result in immediate destruction." The commander bowed his head in defeat. "We accept your terms." When the battle ended, the numbers told the story. 26,000 Keth warships had been destroyed or captured. The armada that had terrorized the galaxy for years had been annihilated in 4 hours. Human losses were 47 ships, most of them damaged but salvageable. Less than 3,000 human lives had been lost. On the Council Station Unity's Heart, High Counselor Morath watched the final moments of the battle in stunned silence. The species his people had dismissed as primitive had just won the most one-sided victory in recorded history. "By all the stars," he whispered, "what have we awakened?" The great chamber of Unity's Heart had never been so quiet. Representatives from all 7 elder races sat in their designated seats, staring at the 3 humans who walked through the massive doors. Guards lined the walls, but everyone knew they were useless. After what the galaxy had witnessed, no one doubted what humans were capable of. Admiral Kang Yuna walked at the center, her dress uniform crisp and black, decorated with medals that represented battles the Council had never known were fought. Captain Park Tae-ho walked on her right, and Commander Lee Jun-ho on her left. Their footsteps echoed in the silence as they approached the central platform. High Counselor Marath rose from his seat on shaky legs. His 4 arms were clasped together in the traditional Villani gesture of respect, something he had never shown to a younger species before. "Admiral Kang," he said, his voice hoarse, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, He stopped, struggling to find words. "Thank you, you saved us all." Yuna nodded once but did not smile. "We did what was necessary." War Leader Golthar stepped forward, his reptilian eyes studying the humans with new respect. "How?" he demanded. "How did you build such a fleet without anyone knowing? Our sensors monitor every corner of known space. Our intelligence networks span 1,000 worlds. How did we miss this?" "You were not looking," Yuna replied simply. 300 years ago, your survey team spent 15 minutes on our planet and decided we were nothing. You categorized us as Class 7, a primitive species not worth watching. You never came back to check if that assessment was still accurate." The Sindari representative, a tall female with silver skin and calculating eyes, leaned forward. "Where did you build your ships? Our records show your species controls only one solar system." "Your records are incomplete." Yuna allowed herself a small smile. "We built our fleet in places you never bothered to scan. Inside asteroids you marked as worthless. On moons of gas giants you never explored. In the dark spaces between stars, where your sensors do not reach." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative. "For 3 centuries, your ships flew past our hidden bases. Your patrols passed within light years of shipyards building vessels far more advanced than yours. And you never noticed because you assumed we were nothing." A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The elder races had built their civilization on the belief that they were the most advanced beings in the galaxy. That belief had just been shattered. "What do you want?" Morath asked finally. "Name your price. After what you have done for us, we will give you anything within our power." Yuna had been waiting for this question. She had thought about her answer for months, planning for this exact moment. "3 things," she said. "First, a permanent seat on this council, with full voting rights equal to any elder race." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. No species had been admitted to the council in over 4,000 years, but no one objected. They could not afford to. Second, full recognition of Earth's sovereignty over our current territory, plus fair expansion rights as our population grows. This was also accepted without argument. Third, a mutual defense treaty. A real one, not the meaningless words you have offered to lesser species in the past. When Earth is threatened, the Council will answer. When the Council is threatened, Earth will answer. Morath bowed his head. "All 3 demands are reasonable and just." "There is one more thing," Yuna added. "Not a demand, more of a suggestion." "What is it?" Yuna's expression softened slightly. "Change your survey protocols. When you encounter a new species, do not spend 15 minutes watching them and then leave forever. Visit again in a century. Visit again in 2 centuries. Species can change in ways you cannot predict." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You looked at Earth 300 years ago and saw primitives fighting with simple weapons. What you missed was that we never stop growing. We never stop learning. We never stop improving. A species that seems harmless today might become the most powerful force in the galaxy tomorrow. If you had paid attention to us, you would have known we were building a fleet. We could have been allies from the beginning, instead of strangers meeting in the aftermath of a war." The representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. Yuna was right, and they all knew it. "We will implement new survey protocols immediately," Morath promised. No species will be forgotten again. 1 week later, the first official Earth embassy opened on Unity's heart. Captain Park Tae-ho stood on its observation deck, watching ships from dozens of species dock at the great station. After 3 centuries in the shadows, humanity was finally taking its place among the stars. Lieutenant Choi Minji joined him, holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Tae-ho and stood beside him in comfortable silence. "Do you think they will ever truly trust us?" she asked after a while. Tae-ho considered the question. "Trust takes time, but they respect us now. They know what we can do. That is a start. And the Keth? Their empire is finished. We captured their supreme commander and most of their leadership. The remaining Keth worlds are surrendering one by one. Within a year, there will be no Keth dominion." Minji nodded, staring out at the endless stars. "My grandmother helped design the engines on our ship," she said quietly. "She died before the fleet was ever launched. She spent her whole life working on something she never got to see." "A lot of people did," Tae-ho replied. 300 years of sacrifice, passed down from generation to generation. Parents teaching children, children teaching grandchildren, all for a moment that might never come. But it did come. Yes, it did. Far away, on the bridge of the Terra's Vengeance, Admiral Kang Yuna received reports from across human space. The Deep Fleet was returning home, heroes to a world that was only now learning the truth about their secret protectors. Parades were being planned. Memorials were being built for those who had given their lives in the battle. Captain Shin Hana approached with a tablet containing the latest diplomatic communications. The Villani want to open formal trade relations. The Toruk are requesting military exchange programs. The Sindari want to study our technology. Yuna took the tablet and scanned the messages. So many requests, so many opportunities. After 3 centuries of hiding, humanity was being welcomed into the galactic community. "We have come a long way," Hana observed. "We have further to go," Yuna replied. "This is just the beginning. We have proved ourselves in war. Now we must prove ourselves in peace." She looked out the window at the stars, the same stars that human ancestors had gazed at thousands of years ago, dreaming of the day they might travel among them. "The galaxy forgot about us once," Yuna said softly. "And this time, we will make sure they never have a reason to fear us. We will be their allies, their partners, their friends." She smiled, and for the first time in many years, it was a smile of genuine hope. "Earth is ready, and so are we."